Another wet, rainy, crappy weather Monday has come and gone, and it is time to talk some football to end your day. And hopefully, we bring a smile to your face while we're doing it. So, do us a favor, kick back, relax, because episode number 38 of 609 Sports Talk, it begins right now. And welcome in everybody back to another episode of 609 Sports Talk live here on Facebook and on YouTube. And remember, you can always catch these episodes every Wednesday on Spotify. So please do us that favor. Go follow us on Spotify. Hit that like here on Facebook. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And if you haven't done that yet, well, then what are you doing? I don't know what you want from us. We're trying to help you. But anyway. Of course, you guys all know this is the show that unites fans, ignites debate, and we are your hosts, Sam Nelson, Tyler Adams. Mr. Adams, how are we on this dreary, rainy Monday?
It's great this Monday, because guess what? It's still another Victory Monday. And you know what? You could even say it's a 5-time Victory Monday, since the Eagles are now 5-time champions.
Oh, my God.
According to the NFL.
That is true. But we're not going to get into that because that could spark a debate that could go way beyond my years.
Are we not igniting debate? Or are we just igniting fans tonight?
No, because then the Cowboys have got like 17, I guess.
Oh, brother.
They'll call themselves the Celtics of football. We don't need that. Don't do it. But anyway, jam-packed show tonight. You know, we got a couple little NFL news pieces going around. You know, some contract extensions happened this past week. Got some stuff there. Some NFL rules have officially been changed. Some have been denied. Some have been tabled. Which basically what that means is they haven't been approved, but they will have another conversation about it the next time the owners' meetings, which is next month. So we'll talk about that, all good stuff. But first topic on hand tonight. Wide receiver, Julio Jones. He's the main topic of the show tonight. Of course, just a couple of days ago, Julio announced he is officially retiring from the game of football. He retires a 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, a 3-time second-team All-Pro, 66 career touchdowns, 914 career receptions, and a boatload of freaking yards. I can't remember the actual number, how many career yards he had. But anyway.
I think it was around 11,000.
It was way more than 11,000. I think it was like 13. I think he had 13,000 career yards.
Almost 14,000. Close enough. Semantics.
Okay. There are always semantics involved with this. What do you know? We always have semantics.
Exactly.
But, so we did a poll question, of course, yesterday on the Facebook page. We'll get to the final results once this segment ends. We'll tell what the people think. But, Tyler, the question I have for you is Julio Jones a NFL Hall of Famer?
Oh, man.
Let the fun begin.
Real quick, I want to say what's up to Georgie and what's up, Carol.
Oh, man, the chat's off and running.
This is a tough conversation because growing up watching football, everyone knows who Julio Jones is. But I feel like the criteria is always changing for what warrants a Hall of Fame career. if we're having the discussion of first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know if I can put Julio Jones as a first ballot. It's a tough line because it depends on what you want to look at. Like recent. Well, let's compare it to recent wide receivers that were inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Well, first of all, while we're getting into this, if we're going to compare him to previous, let's just keep in mind with Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp had a neck injury that ended his career.
Yeah.
Like Sterling Sharp was going to be he was on the trajectory to be one of the greatest wide receivers we'd ever seen.
Yeah.
But a neck injury derailed his career. So let's keep that in mind when we're talking about this. Because I know a bunch of people are like, he only played like 7 years. Yes, there's a reason for that.
So, in terms of career receiving yards, he is ahead of. Well, this is kind of funny because I don't know if I ever see NFL inducting him, Antonio Brown. Which, surprisingly enough, I didn't know that he had 12,300 career receiving yards.
He also has a lot more touchdowns than Julio, though. He has like 17 more touchdowns.
Yeah, he does.
Julio had weird stretches where he could not find the end zone in his career.
He did. But, I compare it to like a career that like Larry Fitzgerald had, right? Fitzgerald, one of the greatest, most consistent receivers to do it. Obviously, never won the big thing. Julio got close.
No. Let me say that Julio should have won that Super Bowl. He should have retired with a Super Bowl championship. Thank you, Kyle Shanahan. Thank you, Dan Quinn.
I agree. So, I mean, let's look at some recent guys, right? Reggie Wayne, did he get inducted? Was it this year?
Sure Reggie did. No, it wasn't this year.
No.
Well, maybe the year prior.
Recent. Yeah, maybe the year prior. Wait, hold on. Was he?
I swore he was a couple years ago.
I thought he was too. I know his name was on the ballot. Yeah. Oh my gosh, no. His name was on the ballot for the first time last year. Well, for 2025, but he wasn't elected. Oh, it's his 6th year as a finalist without being inducted.
Weird. That's dangerous territory.
Let's look at that real quick, right? He's got a Super Bowl. He is 1-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. He's got 14,300 career receiving yards, 82 receiving touchdowns, and a 13-year career, just like Julio Jones. And he's missed it 6 years in a row now?
Yep.
So that's why I'm like, if we're talking like, a decade or more ago, he's probably, easily a Hall of Famer. I still think Julio Jones will make it to the Hall of Fame eventually. I mean, they put him on the 2010s All-Team. He had that amazing stretch from like 2014 to 2019. Just like put up ridiculous numbers year after year. And then he kind of fell off, his last year with Atlanta, and then he went to Tennessee.
Which is where all wide receivers go to die.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that 2-touchdown game he had against the Cardinals in Philly. Let's not forget that. I don't want to... But unfortunately, the only thing about Julio Jones' Eagles tenure you'll remember is the 18,555 screens that Brian Johnson drew up for him. Because Brian Johnson swore he had 2015 Julio Jones. Swore on his life he had that Julio.
He wasn't very self-aware.
Oh, no, he wasn't aware of a lot of things, was Mr. Brian Johnson. So we'll look at that another day. We just won the Super Bowl. I don't want to talk about Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
So
it's It's a tough one because like he kind of teeters on that line of like I feel like yes he should be a Hall of Famer,
I don't see why he couldn't be.
but the fact that Reggie Wayne still hasn't made it in, what
Well,
makes me
Georgie
think
makes a good point here. And Steve Largent is a Hall of Famer.
That is true. I feel like Largent is looked at as like someone who kind of revolutionized
Okay.
the receiving game a little bit. I feel like that's why
So-
he gets more credit. Because, like, you got to think about it. Back then, running the football was still a dominant thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's be real fair here. Let's go to, I got a great one for you here. You want to talk about someone who's in the Hall of Fame? Okay. Let's bring up Calvin's numbers.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most perfect comparisons you could bring up is let's bring up Calvin's numbers.
So once you say his numbers, I have a but. Would you like to hear the but?
Yeah, it's because, let me guess, he retired early. Well, guess what? Whose fault's that?
Yes, but if we're talking about, let's say Calvin played the same amount of years as him, right?
Okay.
Who's to say Calvin Johnson doesn't finish with like an insane like let's see, he played for what 8 years, 8 maybe 9,
Yeah.
about there. Let's say you add on another 5 years. Let's just be generous. At least 1,000 yards a year at the very least. It's probably gonna be a lot more than that.
Okay.
He'd probably finish around like 16, 17,000.
Okay. But that's my point, though. He's still in the Hall of Fame, and he didn't do those things.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's all. And hold on, you just said it. Reggie Wayne has waited 6 years to get on in the Hall of Fame, and he is still not in. Calvin's already in. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand. Look, there's a difference here. Sterling Sharp was forced to retire because of an injury. Calvin Johnson did not have to retire after the 2015 season. Yeah. He chose to retire. And I'm not faulting him. Look, when your body says it's time, it's time. I'm not faulting that. But the fact that is that Calvin has less yards than Julio. Okay, yes, he has more touchdowns than him. That's because all Detroit did his entire time there was throwing the damn football. You got to remember, Julio also came onto a team in Atlanta that had an established number one already in Roddy White.
True.
And I believe Tony Gonzalez was there for at least a year or two after Julio got there. So Julio didn't break out to be the number one target. Now, he turned into that, yes.
Yeah. And his stats early on those first couple years showed it. He wasn't the number one guy.
No, because they still had Roddy White, guys like that. But here's the thing. Julio has more yards than Megatron. Now, Megatron has him in touchdowns. I believe also Megatron has him in receptions. I'm pretty sure.
I can double check.
Julio's also been
731. No, Julio has 914 receptions.
Julio blows his doors off in receptions.
But Calvin does blow them out in the touchdowns.
Well, okay. So everybody does. So does Antonio Brown. But that's why, now when I made my YouTube, when I was talking about this the other day, I made a YouTube video about this, asking if he was a Hall of Famer. This is why I was talking about when Julio was at the best of his career, it was that 2015 to 2019-ish run. That's when he was established. And this is exactly why I disqualified Calvin Johnson in that conversation. Because, okay, yeah, Calvin was there for the first 4 years of Julio's career. But when Julio was establishing himself, Calvin was already retired. So, like I said, you could say that Calvin could be in because of what could have been. Well, guess what? If the Falcons wouldn't have decided to do whatever the hell it was they did in that Super Bowl, Tom Brady would have one less ring. Yeah. There's a lot of coulda, woulda, couldas in this world. Now, I'm not saying, look, Calvin's a Hall of Famer. It's not even a freaking doubt. It's not even a question.
I know.
But but the fact is that we have let that stuff in with lesser numbers. Then I don't know how Julio's not a Hall of Famer. He was one of the best. How many wide receivers would you have taken during his prime over him during that time?
During that time, Fitzgerald.
All right, but Fitz had no. I'm trying to keep it with guys that were at the same time around him.
Okay,
Fitz had been in the league for years already.
Yeah.
Fitz was in year 7 of his. He was way past year. So I forget what year Fitzgerald got drafted.
Year 7.
Well, he was on the 08 team, so he was definitely. Hold on a second now, because now we're getting. Hold
All
on.
right,
Hold
here's a decent one. Right, D-Hop. D-Hop came in the league 2 years after Julio.
Okay.
D-Hop has just shy of 13,000 receiving yards, 83 receiving touchdowns. And you know what makes it all the more impressive? We always talk about it. Dude had to play with the likes of Tom Savage and whatever the heck he had in Houston for a long time.
Oh, and no one's denying that. But the problem is right now is we're talking about guys that are not playing.
Yeah.
D-Hop
needs to retire.
Well, he's going to Baltimore, so he's already ending. He'll be back in Tennessee the following year. Because that's where I'll. Okay, now hold on. But let's keep getting it. Hold on. I want to get to that comment. I agree with Anthony.
Wait. Am I reading this wrong? He said he's not a Hall of Famer?
He's not in yet, is what he means.
Not in yet. Okay.
But I agree with that.
For a second, yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, I agree. Fitzgerald should be in before.
Hold on.
Julio.
Do you want to hear this?
What?
Larry Fitzgerald. Do you know how many receptions he has in his career?
A ridiculous amount.
He had to be fair,
he only trail Jerry Rice.
Well, listen, the guy literally had 1,432 receptions. The guy has 17,492 yards, and he has 120 touchdowns. Look,
he had the greatest career besides Jerry Rice.
And by the way, Larry was drafted in 2004, so he was way established by Julio's prime.
He was.
But okay, all right. So let's look at this. Let's think of wide receivers back in those times. Who would you have taken? Julio Jones or Antonio Brown?
Probably Julio.
Now, see, this is the one guy I'm going to disagree with you on. I would have took AB. Pittsburgh AB was different. Listen, before AB got punched in the head and he knocked himself out too many times, and he got CT before CTESPN showed up, this guy was the best thing in the freaking world.
This guy, CTESPN, Jesus.
He came up with it, not me. Okay, now, Dalton, I agree with you as well with Megatron. The only reason that when I'm talking about Julio Jones, Julio and Megatron didn't line up as much in terms of time frame together. AB had only been in the league for what, a year?
It was off by like 3 years.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to find comparisons because there aren't really that many great wide receivers around that time.
There were some good ones. There was AB.
There were good ones, but we're talking about good and great.
Okay, but that's
Julio's
the point
amongst
here.
the great.
Now look, but here's the thing: Megatron retired, and I think Megatron should be a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he shouldn't. If Fitzgerald, he was great. Fitzgerald went another 12 years. It felt like after 2014, but I'm taking them out of it for now. You said D-Hop. I think we could have a very good conversation for both of them. That would be a good conversation to have after D-Hop calls it a career.
Yeah.
AB should be a Hall of Famer, but he's too stupid.
Yeah, I don't think they're going.
They're not going to put him in.
Yeah.
Bill said he had Prime on his fantasy team. What's up, Burnsy? David Burns is back with us for the week. All right, so and now real quick, Georgie says, "Okay." No, so real quick, he says Henry Ellard has more yards than Julio, and is a top 15 wide receiver. Julio is only 27th in receptions, and Julio is tied for 61st in touchdowns. So his answer is no. Julio's not a Hall of Fame wide receiver. You have to have all three in the upper. Okay, then can we take Megatron out of it? Because he's got less yards than Julio. That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to make here. This is the point I'm trying to make here. There are guys with lesser statistics that are already in, and I don't care that he retired early. That's your problem. Oh, and by the way, Dalton just wants to resurface that he meant prime AB on his fantasy team. Oh, you must have won every year.
And to answer Clint's question, no, Torrey Holt is not in the Hall of Fame yet.
It really was.
See, there's a lot of people that I'm like, if they're not in yet, Julio's not getting in before them. Like Reggie Wayne.
I'm not saying
he's
Julio's
not getting in.
Well, first of all, Julio's got a couple years before he's even eligible. So
yeah.
Hold on, look. The comments are shooting off tonight. Holy crap!
We ignited the debate.
Burns, you say good to see. It's good to see you too, Burns. You glad you're back on with us for another Monday. Anthony said, "What's the meaning of Hall of Fame for wide receivers?" Good question.
Always changes. That's the tough part.
Because now, now we're back at. See, now you're making me go backwards. What I said. I already said we know why Sterling Sharp's career was cut short, but they still put him in the Hall of Fame. I'm not knocking it, but that's the problem. They keep moving the needle, not us.
Because they still also look at dominance within a period of time.
Well, so there wasn't many wide receivers more dominant than Julio Jones in his time.
There weren't.
All right, so real quick, let me catch up to these comments real quick, and then I'm going to ask a couple. I got some questions for the people. Stephanie Padilla is watching with us from Chicago, Illinois. What's up, Stephanie?
I got another good name.
Of course, you brought up Clint saying, "Here's the best one, Dalton. Who is Henry Eller?"
Yeah, my
If we haven't established the age gap between Dalton and George, we just did. Oh, my God. Dalton says someone from the 50s. By the way, I want to give Dalton a shout-out. He went to the Phillies game yesterday, and he, for the first time in his life, tried an ice cream helmet. For the first time in his life. I can't believe it took him that long.
I didn't know they exist. Sam, you didn't tell me.
Are you new here? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I've only been to, maybe one or two Phillies games.
That's not my problem, buddy.
You're over here. You're the seasoned veteran. You're supposed to be dropping this knowledge.
Seasoned veteran, yeah. Yeah, I was only a season ticket holder for a decade. But Clint brought up the whole thing of Holt's not in and Julio should get in, and he said Julio should be in.
I think he meant he shouldn't be in there before Holt.
Agreed.
So I got another name for everybody. Steve Smith, Senior.
What about Anthony bringing up Julian Edelman? No. Get out of here.
Nah.
Slot. That's a slot Brady merchant, just like Wes Welker was.
Yeah. No. But Steve Smith Senior, 1,031 receptions, 14,731 receiving yards, 81 receiving touchdowns, 15-year career.
Okay, now hold on. Now, George, here's where George is saying now Megatron is tied for 26 with 83 touchdowns, 731 receptions, which is 54th, and 11,619 receiving yards, 36. He has a pretty solid mid-level argument. Yes, but do you know something about that, George? Two of those stats are less than Julio Jones. That's the problem here. This is the problem we are having.
To the dominance. And, I get it. Julio had that stretch where, he was unstoppable. But,
he did not find.
Yeah, Megatron was just unstoppable every time he touched the field.
Well, yeah, the guy retired when he was 31.
Just a different presence about him.
Yes, the guy retired when he's 31. Of course he did. He literally retired after his prime years were over.
Oh, I think he still has some prime years left.
He did. But back then, Detroit would have forced you to retire. Zolt would agree to that. Those Lions teams were bad. Dalton says that Steve Smith is severely underrated. I 100% agree. I think people, no offense, I think some people forget before Deshaun Jackson, the real deep threat was Steve Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony said Steve Smith will get in like T.O. in time. Too much of a drama queen. Steve Smith wasn't as much of a drama queen as T.O. was.
Yeah, I agree. He wasn't.
Clint does say Steve Smith is a Hall of Famer because the problem is the Panthers were kind of bad. Oh, they were bad.
Yeah.
Georgie, 2 less what? He has 2 less what? They ain't receptions or yards. Julio's got him beating both of those. Unless I'm out of my mind. I'm 99.9% sure that Julio has more than both in Megatron. Julio has way more receptions and yards than Megatron. Oh, not to mention Julio is also has more Pro Bowls than Megatron too. He had 7. Megatron had 6.
Okay. 1 more in 5 years of playing? All right, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
You should talk to the NFL.
Like we said.
This is why I hate this conversation.
Easily. If he played that next season, Pro Bowl again. There you go. Boom. Would have been tied with Julio.
And that's a fair point. Tyler, we have a new listener.
What's up, Dustin?
Dustin, what's up, buddy? Everything's going good. We hope you're having a great Monday. And right now we're debating if Julio Jones is a Hall of Famer, so feel free to leave us your opinion.
Oh, yeah. Let us know how you feel.
And Dustin, I'm going to mess that up next.
Man, just like you ignoring fans.
Stop. Clint said T.O. should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer despite his attitude. Voters need to stop voting with emotions. That I agree with. So, Dustin, I agree with that. First of all, I am in no way saying that Julio Jones. All right, Dustin. So the first thing I will say, he is not. I don't think he'll get in first ballot. If Reggie Wayne has not gotten in 6 years of waiting, Julio's not going first. If Julio goes first ballot before Reggie Wayne, a crime was committed.
There's something wrong there.
The only thing I'm saying is, yes, I understand. Dude, look, Calvin Johnson was a freaking monster. There's no denying that. And I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying is that the NFL voters, when it comes to the wide receivers, they push the needle more and more. Because, yes, I understand that Megatron retired early, but that still results in Julio having better numbers than him. So how can you put one guy in and not the other? That's the only case I'm trying to make.
I'm going to make this case. You can look at the averages. Hold on, let me pull up. I have Julio's up already. I'm going to pull up Calvin's. Because the averages come into, the higher number looks better, right? So let's look at over the career. So yards per reception, Calvin Johnson was at 15.9 and Julio was at 15. So almost a yard more per catch. Now you take that yard more per catch over all of them catches, all them receptions he has, those are what close the gap.
Yeah.
Those close the gap because in 5 years, Julio only having about 2,100 more yards in 5 years than him. Dude, if Calvin keeps playing for another 2 years, I told you, he's averaging over 1,000 in those 2 years.
Agreed.
So
I agree with that.
He would end up finishing with a better career. So I don't like bringing Calvin in as a comparison point because I don't think you can really compare it.
That's why I said I hated bringing up Sterling Sharp, but that's the problem. Yeah. This is the problem that we have.
But he's another guy that, like, the reason he got inducted was because they looked at the averages, right? They compare the average over if he were to play, as many seasons as another player, and they're like, okay, he would have been a monster.
Now, hold on. I want to get to this comment from Dustin. Now, Dustin said the only argument Julio can get first ballot over Reggie is QB. Wayne had opposed to Julio. Okay, I get Reggie Wayne had Peyton Manning. There's no doubt there. Also, he also had Andrew Luck too.
Yeah.
But let's not act like Julio had a slouch.
Yeah, you could do way worse than Matt Ryan.
Oh, go ask
that was Matt Ryan throwing 4,000 yards in a season, something crazy like that.
Well, the year they went to the Super Bowl, he won the MVP.
Yeah,
which is why he lost the Super Bowl.
Now, I like that Dustin brings that point up because that's like what I was saying earlier about D-Hop whenever he retires and he's eligible. I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer because
based off of that alone.
Based off of having Tom Savage as a quarterback, the whole backup quarterback factor in Houston only got, a couple of years out of playing with Deshaun Watson. And then he had some good years in Arizona early on with Kyler. Then he got hurt. Then D-Hop got hurt. Then he went to Tennessee, and then everything just spiraled out of control from there.
Agreed. So Anthony said, hold on, Wes Welker didn't win a Super Bowl? No, he did. 2007, lost. 2011, lost. And then he left he retired before the Broncos won. So
yep.
Wes Welker was just the wrong place, wrong time. Another slot Brady Manning merchant. So Clint said, I think what hurts Reggie Wayne is that he has the numbers, but he has the number 2 receiver on the Colts. Yes, that is true. But the fact that he was able to do what he did while playing next to Marvin Harrison, that's pretty damn impressive. Could we agree with that?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Julio had to go against Roddy White. There was no... Roddy White was good. Julio Jones is way better than Roddy White. I think we can agree there, right?
Yeah. He had the benefit.
Well, Reggie was going opposite of a Hall of Famer, and he still did it. Burnsy, I agree with you. Julio deserves a ring, and he should have got one. And David, just to answer your question, you asked earlier, is he retiring? Yes, he announced his retirement a few days ago.
Yep.
Now, honestly, I think if Julio wins, if the Falcons don't 28-3, I think this whole conversation is different.
Yeah, it is, because at the end of the day, the ring always gets factored in.
Yeah. Dustin makes another good point here. He said if Calvin played 15 years with Stafford and he had a legitimate case to threaten Rice for the yards record, I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
Yep.
I do not disagree with anything Dustin has said so far in his comment.
Ooh, Anthony just said something interesting.
I'm getting there. They're flying in, Tyler. They're flying like Julio Jones down the sideline.
I know they are. Ooh, Sam, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
Should Julio Jones make it in before Anquan Bolden? Anquan Bolden, Super Bowl champ.
Yes, he is.
He had 13,800 yards. I rounded up a little bit. 82 touchdowns, 1,076 receptions.
Ooh. See, Julio not getting the end zone more hurts his case.
It does.
Ooh,
it really
that's
does.
Tough. Now, to be fair, Anquan had a very nice early career when he was opposite of Fitz. Yeah. We got to remember that. So. Ooh, that's a good question. Damn, that's a really good question. Damn it, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good one.
But Anthony bringing up Hines Ward, I mean,
Hines Ward was freaking Hines Ward.
Another one. He's got the ring. 2-time Super Bowl champ.
Oh, yeah, Hines does have 2.
And he won the MVP in one of them. So, I mean, that should help his case also.
Oh, I think Dustin is about to piss George off because listen to this. I live and die on this hill and take it to my grave. Randy Moss is the best wide receiver to ever play this game. Rice has the records, but he played with Montana and Rice. Moss had Brady and a lot of other guys who won't make the Hall. Moss was a freak. Oh my! And what he did was sick. That's a compelling argument.
It is. I don't 100% disagree with that because Randy Moss was he was a freak athlete.
Oh, so here we go. Hold on real quick. So George says Ward will get in next year. I agree. Burnsy also said, imagine Julio and Megatron on the same team. Julio would never score again.
He'd never see the end zone again.
He'd never score. Never. Now,
he'd get you to the red zone and go ghost.
Here we go. Georgie says Moss played when wide receivers were staped across the middle. Rice played when you had to have your head on a swivel. That's another good point.
Man. We really got some good debates going on right now.
Dustin's got Georgie. Now Georgie's going crazy.
Man.
The chat is flying tonight. Clint said Hines Ward should be in just off the fact that the greatest run blocking receiver plus his numbers. I agree. No wide receiver blocks like Hines Ward anymore.
Yeah.
Also want to apologize to Julio Jones. This conversation at this point is anything but about him.
Yeah. We could sum up Julio and continue the conversation. Julio will be in the Hall of Fame eventually.
This is good. No, this is good comments. I love this. We are flying tonight. Anthony said, first of all, Randy Moss had one good move, and that's go deep. He can't run around. Oh, Anthony, stop it.
Yeah, come on, man.
Anthony, knock it off. Come on. Now you're reaching. Now you're really reaching. Now, George says Moss couldn't hold Rice's jockstrap if he played in the 80s and 90s. Very good. Good point. Because, and remember, Jerry played up into Randy's time. I mean, Jerry played till 2004 and was still doing, I mean, God, what Jerry was doing in 2004, we'll never see that again.
Let's see.
Jerry Rice. I got
2004, he only had 429 yards.
Julio's last year he had 70.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that he was putting up numbers, and come on, Tyler, he was on the Seahawks.
Oh, that was his last. Wait, he was on 3 different teams? Or 2
No, he was
teams?
on 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. The one column combined the 2.
Yes,
The one was 10 year.
You're definitely on Pro Football Reference right now.
I definitely am.
That's because I am too. But yeah, that's exactly. But I mean, come on. Jerry was Jerry till he retired. All right. Okay, Dustin and George are going to just completely go at each other. This is great. So Dustin did say Moss changed the game and how teams play defense against wide receivers. You couldn't guard Moss. 6'6", 210, and ran a sub-4.35. No one wanted to hit Moss because Moss could take the hit. That is, again, also true.
Man, here's a lot of good points.
This is great. Dustin also went on to say Moss would have been the biggest player on the field in the 80s. There were never a wide receiver as gifted athletically as Moss in the 80s, so you can't compare that. My God, this is great. I'm having I'm having time off right now.
I mean, honestly, it might have been hard for players catching Moss back in the 80s with his speed.
Okay, now Georgie's saying Deion Sanders in the 80s would have put Moss in his kindergarten classroom. Oh, my God, this is great. Then he also went on to say Ronnie Lott would have put Moss in a concussion protocol. Was there a concussion protocol back then, George?
Yeah, did they know what a concussion was back then?
No, they did not. So.
They just knew that their head hurt.
Yeah, I got a headache. So here's some Benadryl. You're fine. My God. Guys, I just want to say that You guys are freaking awesome. The chat is going crazy. If anyone listens to us on Spotify on Wednesday, you got to tune into these shows on Monday when they're live on Mondays, because the YouTube and Facebook chats are going bananas.
Oh yeah,
I'm enjoying and now Clint's back with one. Clint just said Moss could have been the GOAT receiver. Talent, size, physical, his attitude and work ethic prevented him from being the GOAT. That's also a true point. And as George said, Jack Tatum would have had Moss retiring halfway through his rookie year. And if I knew who Jack Tatum was, I'd agree with George. I'm still a young buck. I'm not that old. Like I said. Knock it off. Holy crap. What an opening segment. 40 minutes of pure gold here. Oh, good. It's still going. Dustin said he loves Rice just as much as Moss. I have a soft spot for Moss because my cousin played against Moss in high school.
Wow.
He also said Moss is the reason that his cousin quit.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Dustin, please do us a favor. We are live every Monday at 7 p.m. If you got to be in the chat every week, brother. This is great. This is great. Dustin is flying off with these comments, and I'm loving it. Georgie apologized. He went too far back for it. Oh, George, you did that like 8 comments ago. And Clint said, imagine Moss's numbers if he had Jerry Rice's work ethic.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with him.
He could have crushed the numbers.
And Dustin, do us a favor. You hit that like button here on Facebook. Go hit that page button so you know when we're live all the time. We are live every Monday at 7. It's not that hard to figure out, but appreciate the comments, man.
Does Randy Moss kind of remind you of like Allen Iverson?
Yeah.
Just like all the talent in the world, but like not wanting to work hard enough.
The only difference between Moss and Iverson is eventually Moss got Tom Brady. Iverson never got anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he got Melo for like a half season. But then they traded him and got Chauncey Billups.
The GOAT Chauncey Billups.
Those underrated NBA point guard. I got you, George. I'll check it out in a little bit. But, all right. Let's get into segment number 2 tonight. Let's talk some NFL rules. But before we get to that, we did run a poll question on the page for anyone that didn't vote. Poll question on the page was, is Julio Jones a Hall of Famer? So out of that poll question, 75% of the voters said yes, and 25% said no. So the people have spoken. Julio Jones, in their eyes, is a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Yeah. And my final thought on it, I said it before, I think he's a Hall of Famer eventually. I don't see him getting in within like his first 5 years. Some point after that. Because there's some legends that gotta make it in before him.
All right. So Dustin brings up a point here. He's saying that Moss reminds him more of John Morant more than AI. Morant has all the talent in the world, but his actions and mouth get him in trouble. Same with Moss. No argument.
Yeah.
Clint, I will disqualify comparing it to Shaq, because Shaq won some damn rings.
Quite a few.
Now, I will compare AI and Randy Moss early on. AI had Dikembe Mutombo as his second best player, RIP, and Randy Moss had Dante Culpepper throwing him the football. Like, come on.
The GOAT.
But then but that's the point though. When you saw what Moss did when he got Brady, imagine if we had that more early on. Then we're talking, he probably was up there with Jerry. But I just want to say, 45 minutes into this show, and you guys have just blown the comments apart, and that was an awesome opening segment.
That was a great debate.
No, that was the most ignited debate ever. And we united some fans tonight. Dustin and George now may go at each other in the comments every week, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that George continues to bring up older players and confuses Dalton, because that's just even more hilarious.
It's confusing me, too.
George has definitely put himself of where his age range is in the comments without even telling us. But a great segment, man. This is awesome. Dustin said, I would love to have Moss pair with Josh Allen and Mahomes and let him go. Oh, God. In this day and age where you can't hit nobody, Moss probably have 2,000 yards 5 straight years.
Never want to see him with Mahomes. Never.
Well, no, you should go with Josh Allen, because then you'll get a rule changed for you.
Well, that, and Josh Allen would finally be able to make it to a Super Bowl.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
A big freaking maybe, Tyler.
He's one wrong coin flipping overtime away from not doing it.
Ooh. Okay, so Clint's talking in terms of work ethic with Shaq. That I 100% agree with. Oh. Clint, not only would have Shaq been more dominant if he took care of himself, he would never have gotten traded from LA, because that's why Kobe wanted it. Kobe and him started getting beef, because Kobe was like, because nobody cared more than Kobe.
Yeah.
Like, can I just say this real quick? I'm not comparing them, but even Michael would go and gamble and smoke cigars. Kobe was always about the business.
Yeah.
So I say, look, Mike's the GOAT. I ain't getting in that conversation.
That's why Kobe and Shaq had a lot of beef towards the end, because Kobe's like, dude, we could do so much more.
Yeah. And you're not caring. So
Shaq was just, he was Shaq'd in a fool.
Shaq was Shaq'd in a fool. Burnsy said, well done to Julio. Congrats on an amazing career. Best wishes in retirement. Absolutely. Julio's always going to be one of my childhood wide receivers. And then Dustin brings up saying, difference there, Moss took care of his body and more than people know. 3% body fat throughout his career and built like a tank. That is true. There's just other things with Randy that got in his own way.
I want to respond to Anthony's comment. Anthony, there is nothing that giant man could have done because he was too big for his own body.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
His body, almost anyone that height, their body fails them. It just happens. I don't think there's anything else he could have tried to possibly do.
Georgie, I don't expect anything less from him. With all the stuff you send me, I don't expect his work ethic to be any different. But all right. All right, everybody. Let's jump into some other topics around the NFL now. Let's talk some NFL rules. Because there have been some changes. There are going to be some tweaks. Clint said, make sure he laughs at the 28-3 jokes. Oh, boy. Here we go. Okay, Anthony, he doesn't have to be in your top 10. That's a whole nother situation for another day. If he's not in your top 10 all time, I'm not blaming you. And I agree with Dustin here, too. Not the same thing with Greg Oden. Oden literally had one leg longer than the other. There's nothing he could do.
Yep.
Dustin, let's not talk about centers.
I was going to say, Sam's got an opinion about that for a certain one of his centers.
Who? He's not my center.
I mean, it's another good example. His body can't handle it either. Now, that might be a little bit of both his fault and not his fault, but...
That's another story for a whole another day.
Story for
many a whole another day. So Clint said same thing with Big Z with the Cavs. Big Z could hoop. Big Z could hoop a little bit. All right, let's get into some of these NFL rule changes that have been tabled. Some of them have been denied, agreed. I don't know. All right, let's get on to this first one with the the chains no longer being a factor to now we're going to camera-based technology to measure a first down. What do we got some thoughts on that with?
So there's two parts to it, right? On one hand, you're getting rid of one of the honored traditions of football, even though they're still going to be on the sideline as decorations.
Well,
the crew's still going to have a job.
Well, yeah, because they're going to
be emergencies. Really, if they're implementing camera technology, are they really going to need those chains?
I mean, if the cameras ain't working, if something isn't working.
I mean, I guess that's like worst case scenario. But it's kind of similar to like the whole thing. I don't know if I want to go as deep as to comparing it to like, what baseball wants to do with, the robotic umpire, not having the actual umpire, having like the digital strike zone or whatever the heck it is. It takes away a tradition of the game. Now, granted, could it be more accurate? Yes. Can the new digital first down markers, the camera system, be more accurate? I think it will be. Because we've all seen the refs make bad spots. We've all seen it.
Oh, my God. No index cards anymore.
But it takes away a tradition. So
it does.
I don't mind it. I think it's fine. It's good. It takes sort of a guessing game aspect out of football. But are people gonna hate the change? Yeah. People don't like change. But I think overall it'll be good.
Yeah. And Dustin kind of makes that point right here. He's saying common sense with the change. The UFL got it right by using technology. Don't F it up in the calls, and this wouldn't be an issue. He's right. If we wouldn't have so many bad spots, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's, that's just what it is. Stephanie did bring up about the overtime rule being changed to now in the regular season, both teams will get a chance to possess the ball, which
I like that.
Why it was only a postseason thing to begin with made.
Yeah. I don't get it either. Like that should have just been. It's always going to be a thing from the start. Like why they only decided to make it the postseason. I don't know.
Yeah, it's stupid. Each team should have always had a chance to possess the ball. Now, they're not changing the clock either. I think they want it to be either 10 or, I forget, is it 15 and they want it to be 10 or is it 10?
I forget the exact number they wanted to do. I think they want to get it down to 10, but I don't know if that was a thing or not.
Yeah. So, Clint said that he'll get one of the calls because the camera didn't work. Oh, my God. Clint, don't start this.
Yes, it will be no more than a 10-minute period.
Okay, gotcha. So Georgie said, I want to see how this goes, though. I think the accuracy is going to be better. The refs move the ball 3 inches in their direction of guessing when the ball is thrown from one side just to the other. That can make a big difference. I like it. Okay. And then George said the NFL waited way too long about the overtime rule. It's been 110 years waiting. All right, now here, Dustin's hooking us up here saying the clock is going back to 15 minutes. It's at 10 minutes right now. They want to go back to 15. Okay. Well, that's fair because if both teams are going to get a chance to possess it, I agree with that.
How old is this article I'm looking at? What is this?
No, and don't read if it's too old. It's probably 110 years old. Speaking of which, real quickly, he's commented so much. Dustin, I want to ask you, hit me with a comment. Who's your team? Because we got all kinds of fans over here. I want to know who's your team. I can't believe all these comments and I haven't asked them that yet.
It's been a lot going on today.
I know. This is insane. Dustin also said that's why they don't want teams to hold the ball the entire quarter. Yeah, fair enough. It's like the hockey overtime. Like the hockey 3-on-3 overtime is fun, but when one team has possession and they're just skating backwards the entire freaking 5 minutes. It's like, dude, what are we doing here? That's why I think hockey overtime should be moved to maybe 10 minutes, because the 5 minutes is fine, but then when one team just continues to skate back and forth and just keeps going backwards, it's like, okay, guys, come on. Someone's got to get a delay game or something. Like, come on. What are we doing here? But yeah, I have no issue with the overtime rule. It should have been like that from the beginning. So Dustin is a Vikings fan. He covers the Chicago Bears for work, but his team is the Vikings.
Oh, very nice.
All right, Dustin.
A little division rivalry there.
Well, Stephanie Padilla is a Bears fan, so.
Yeah.
We're getting all kinds of fans. We got Browns fans, Cowboy fans, Eagles fans. Now, clearly, Dustin can tell who our teams are. All right, Dustin. I respect that. I like what the Vikings are doing. All right, let's keep moving on to this. Now, here's one that I am very mad. Now, it didn't get rejected. I'm mad that it's getting tabled for a later date. And that is that the Lions' proposal for playoff seeding was tabled, which is basically the Lions saying that you should get a higher seed based off your record, not being a division winner. So, just an example again. The Bucks, let's say like last year, Vikings, they didn't win their division, but they were a lower seed because they were a wild card team. I think that's stupid. Honestly, Dustin, it looks like they've been out on him for weeks. So Anthony then said, Anthony's just throwing his out here. NFL, Washington, NBA, Luka, not the Lakers. I like that. NHL, Pittsburgh, UFL, DC Defenders, MLB, Orioles. Anthony's all over the place.
Man, you're repping a UFL team. Respect, Anthony.
Yeah, I'll give Anthony respect for the UFL. So Dustin said there's one reason why that was tabled. Oh, Dustin, you said let us know. What was the reason? I want to hear the reason. If you can put it in the chat, put it in the chat. But I want to
comment about Karen Rodgers.
You just saw that? I literally put that on there. You didn't hear me say I totally said to him that that's why I think they're out on him.
Yeah.
But anywho, I hope that is tabled and it gets approved, because I find it ridiculous that a 9-win team gets a home playoff game and has a chance to be in their building against a team that won 14 games. Like, that's not fair to me. I think that's ridiculous.
Yep.
There's no reason that just because you win the crappiest division, which ironically in both conferences is the South. So I don't know. I would like it better if I still think the Vikings got hosed last year. I think they should have been a higher seed because they won 14 games.
They should have. But were they playing well at the end? Not really. They kind of fell apart.
All right, so here it is. Dustin said they tabled it because last season was an abnormal when it comes to the Vikings' record and being a wild card. Should it happen again this season, the rule will get approved. If not, then it becomes another topic. Okay. I still think that you should get the higher seed if you have. They should go to the old NBA format.
Yeah, it should. It really should.
Not the play-in crap.
Well, you don't want to play in football, Sam?
Yeah, because I want to see the 6 and 10 Titans in the playoffs. Get out of here.
That just adds more, TV games that they can play. They make more money off of.
Would you stop?
Before the wild card round, you got the play-in round, and then that leads up to the wild card round, and then that goes to the divisional round.
You're going to be doing the show by yourself in a second if you'll knock this off.
Come on, just think about it.
I did. No. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Georgie. Thank you, George. George agrees with me. Real quickly, so Anthony said he likes the best record gets the seeds. I agree. Clint said that should have been fixed when. Exactly. This is my point. That should have been fixed when a 7-8-1 Panthers team got a home game.
Now, see, I don't even care about the fact that like the Vikings, for example, how Dustin was just saying that they tabled it because it usually doesn't happen. I want it more so for the fact that I hate seeing these 8-win teams winning their division and getting a higher seeding than some of these wild card teams.
What about 2010 when we had the Seahawks and Rams both going for the NFC West? They both had 7 wins.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Like, okay, cool. You won your division. You can make it in, but you're going to be a low seed.
Yeah, Dustin, I will agree, though. The Vikings O-line in that game and those playoff games got wrecked. They were battered, bruised. Now, hold on. I don't even need to use my phone for half of these rules because everyone's just putting them in the chat already. So, where's the one that Burns? Oh, so Burnsy did say that touchbacks are now moving from the 30 to the 35. Dude,
Yes.
let's start the damn thing at midfield at this point. This is another instance of the NFL they want no part of the defense in the league anymore.
So, I think the real reason for it is they want to. What was their whole reasoning from going from the traditional kickoff to the new style kickoff?
They want more return.
They wanted more returns. There were still a lot of teams not really returning the ball. So now it's either you return the ball or you essentially, get penalized if you boot it out of the back of the end zone. Like if you don't give the other team a chance to return the ball, you're giving your defense really bad field position to defend against.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt the receiving teams. But I think that's what their goal was, because I don't think they really saw the excitement that they were hoping for out of the new format.
All right, so real quickly, Dustin said you want to solve the problem, get rid of the first round bye. Give each conference 8 teams and play a straight 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, 4v5, and go based off a record. And the Vikings would have been a 3 seed, the Bucs would have still been 4. I have no issue with that. I have no issue to get rid of the first round bye, because you know what? Go ask the Lions. That actually hurt them more than it helped. A first round, it cost Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre a chance to go to the Super Bowl against the Giants in those Cinderella runs they had.
Yep.
And that's why I was glad the Eagles were we were the 2 seed, right? Yeah, we were the 2 seed in the NFC. I was happy about that because I don't want to buy. I think the bye weeks are stupid. I think it hurts the team that gets it in the first place. All right, so Clint said he gives the 2010 Seahawks team a pass because of the beast mode run. Of course we do. Oh my God. So Dustin said they want more return, but when you kick from the 35 instead of the 30, it doesn't matter what to do. Move the ball back to the old mark of the 30, keep the new kickoff rule in play, and it's a win-win situation. I agree. Georgie said the NFL is using the rule to having kick returns because nobody is returning, so the kickers now have to have a talent like a billiards player to put English on the ball and get some height on it. Kickers' talent will now be on display. Oh, boy.
Or if you're the Eagles, it's your punter.
Well, now they stopped doing it with Brandon Mann after that one Washington game.
Oh, God bless. No, they didn't know, Sam. They did it when they realized that Jake Elliott was cold, so they had to get him some more reps somehow.
Which was after the Washington game. I just freaking said that. He didn't need to just. I know that.
No, Sam, I don't think you know.
I don't know anything. But anyway, Dustin said teams hate the first round bye. Every team hates it, and there is a reason why more 2 seeds make the Super Bowl over 1 seed. Agreed. Like the Commanders came off a game and the Lions were cold. Now, the Lions had the whole roster was on IR, but still, that's not the point.
Yeah.
Anthony said if you take away the first round bye, it's no point of winning your division. Okay. It does. It still, Anthony, it does, because if you win your division, it doesn't matter. So you still got to win your division.
Yeah.
We have 19 7-win teams in the playoffs now. And Dustin said they are taking the don't kick it to Hester rule way too far. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, and Dustin he's pointing that out. You still get a home game if you win the division. Exactly. All right. Now, also that expanded replay is also going to be a thing now. So there'll be more.
What does that include?
I would love to know. I guarantee you past interference.
It's not PI. Yeah, I guarantee it won't be PI. Because they'll never admit when they're wrong.
They should keep pass interference as a reviewable penalty.
Well, if they do, the Chiefs are winning 8-9 games.
Yeah. So I don't know, honestly. I would like to know it, but I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't know what they mean by expanded replay. I don't know what that's going to include. I'm hoping it includes stuff that's actually going to help, because knowing the NFL, it won't, because it is the NFL.
Yep.
And they find a way to screw it up all the time. So, all right. So here we go.
Actually, challenge that now.
You can challenge pass interferences, face mask, defensive holding, and roughing the passer. Oh my God, Mahomes will never get a penalty again.
It's a glorious day.
And I like the face mask one, though. Face mask, there have been a lot of questionable ones that have been called over the years.
Yeah. So I wonder, is that going to go both ways? If you think there was a face mask that wasn't called, can you challenge that? Or is it only you can challenge if you don't feel like there was one, but they called one?
I would probably go with the second part of that you just said.
And then the same thing with roughing the passer. Is that if it's called, you try to you throw the challenge flag, but it's not if your quarterback gets blown up, you can't.
There you go.
All right.
Dustin said, it goes both ways.
All right. That's good. That's the way it should be.
Well, George brought up another flopping penalties. Oh, thank God.
Flopping penalties. Let's go.
We cannot have this be the NBA again.
Let's go.
The NBA has ruined itself with flopping.
Dude, did they just go into these meetings and say F Patrick Mahomes?
Good.
we're coming for this man's whole game.
Dustin said there are going to be a lot of overturn calls next season.
There will be.
Agreed.
There will be.
And Anthony said we don't have a scary kickoff player like Hester in the NFL now. Why not stop the touchback?
Yeah, we do. You got the Turpin guy, the Dallas Cowboys. The guy is 5'7".
Yeah, and he's probably Dallas' second best offensive weapon right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Another one. Dustin's flying in with these. He said you can challenge it if you think it was or if it wasn't a penalty. You can only get one penalty challenge a game. Cool. You're going to have to know when the right time is to use that.
Fourth quarter. Crunch time. If it's a close game, there's going to be some questionable calls.
Anthony, everybody's still going to hold. Everybody holds everybody on a play.
Yeah. And trust me, I don't see any coach, unless if it's the last drive of the game, going out of their way to challenge for a holding call. Because it's just going to be a waste.
Hey, man, shout out to Dustin. So how can we forget Cordell Patterson?
Never forget Cordell Patterson, man.
He can still return a kick, but teams don't kick it to him. I think Cordell's a little old for that now these days, isn't he?
I never know, man. I was shocked he was putting up rushing yards with the Falcons a few years ago.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
Are we really that surprised?
Nah.
And now Dustin also brings up, however, if you challenge a penalty and you get it right, then you get a bonus penalty challenge. Oh, so basically if you win it, you get another one.
Essentially get up to 2.
If you win one.
Yeah. If you win the first one. I like that.
Get it. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. All right. Let's move on to the last rule. We've been saving it. The tush push. Apparently, they needed 24 votes to ban it. They did not get it. They got 16. So now they have tabled it for the next meetings in May. Tyler, I'm going to let you start off with this.
I only got one thing to say to them.
Go ahead.
I had to mute myself. Had to censor.
I saw the censor. I saw you censor yourself.
It's so ridiculous. Now, I'd be interested to see what our fans have to say. So we got a lot of different sports teams fans in here. Obviously, us Eagles fans, we don't want the play to go anywhere. You got former Eagles players coming out saying that there is no safety issues, which, granted, you look at it.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Time to buy the votes, yeah. Yep.
Well, we knew Dustin would disagree with the Packers because this comment says it all right here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like the tush push? Figure out. Dustin, you may have just became one of my favorite fans on this on our show, and it's your first time ever commenting. You may be one of my favorite people in the world now because I'm so happy that you actually think the same way. And I'm sorry. And Dustin will agree with this. I'm sorry. Didn't the Packers run it with their tight end against the Eagles like 3 times?
Yeah. And see, the problem is that they can't run it with their scrawny leg Jordan Love quarterback. Because he tried to do it and he messed up. That's why they had to use a tight end to do it. And guess what? When they used their tight end to do it, it worked.
Yep.
Go figure. So I don't know what the problem was.
And what cracks me up is like they're saying, we know there's no evidence of injuring players, but it's the risk.
Hypothetical.
Newsflash. You are risking injury the second you walk on a football field. It doesn't matter.
Yep. The second you lace them shoes up and walk out there, you're assuming that risk. So what risk does that play add than a normal run play? Then a normal pass play, then a kick return play. What does it add?
And then you got the pace of play idiots. They're like, well, like the Eagles run it like twice a game. We only run it at goal line situations, and if your defense can't keep us off of fourth or third.
People act like we do it from first down until we convert.
We probably could, but
we could. I totally agree.
We could.
We could probably average like 3 to 4 yards each one.
And here's what people don't understand. You do realize that whatever they vote on next month, the Eagles are just going to find a way to counteract it with a new version. I'm sorry, and people may disagree with me on this. Well, Carroll won't. Jalen Hurts doesn't need 2 guys pushing him to get a QB sneak.
I saw the stats for before they used the tush push. The quarterback sneak had a higher success rate than the tush push. People act like it's the offensive line, the way that they're coached, and newsflash, the quarterback. I don't think there's a single quarterback in the NFL that can squat as much as that man can. He has the legs of a running back. And no, not Lamar Jackson running back. I'm talking about a power back.
Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon type legs.
Yeah.
Ironically, both are his teammates. But anyway. George said it's just like the Hail Mary. If you can't stop it, oh well, and everyone tries it. Agreed.
Yeah.
And then Dustin said there are going to be more teams using the tush push next year. Daniel Jones will beat out Anthony Richardson, and then Richardson will go to the tush push. Winston will use the tush push in New York. Every team is going to use it. And guess what? You know what team's going to screw it up? The Buffalo Bills, who are another team that wants it banned. But yet, hold on. They wanted to ban it, but yet they tried it about 6 times in the AFC title game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You ever notice this, right? Everything has to do. I'm sorry. Have you not noticed the trend with Josh Allen? Overtime rule gets changed for Josh. Push gets for Josh. The technology for first downs all of a sudden. Josh, he gets a lot of things changed for himself.
It's almost like he's the next Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. And I don't mean in terms of like play.
And hold on a second. For the people that with the tush push in the Super Bowl, tell Chris Jones not to line up sideways.
He's an idiot.
Exactly. And for the people that want to complain about the NFC title game, well, if Chris Jones is an idiot, then Frankie Louvu is an absolute moron.
He is an absolute moron.
He did that on purpose. And and they're complaining about pace of play. Well, then tell Frankie Louvu to stop jumping over the whole pile.
Yeah. Tell him to just accept his fate and move on.
And get knocked back 5 feet. And for the people that keep saying, oh, it's a rugby. Have you ever watched rugby?
Yes.
Rugby play. Jordan Mailata, who literally is a rugby player, said it's not a rugby play. I've watched rugby. If that was a scrum in rugby players would love that.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, I've watched rugby. It's not. That is far from a rugby play.
Yeah, and wasn't that Mr. McVay who said that about the whole rugby thing?
Tell Mr. McVay to worry about his front seven getting gashed by Saquon Barkley 3 times last year.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony said Titans have canceled their private workouts with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Well, we know where that's going.
Yep.
They're trading the pick.
Oh, don't say that.
They trade that pick, I will laugh. All right, I will agree here with Dustin. The Hail Mary is more luck than skill. It takes skill to execute the touch push correctly. A Hail Mary is luck of the draw.
Because you never know where that ball is going to bounce.
Well, Dustin, unless you're Aaron Rodgers, he somehow executes like 3 a year.
Used to.
And Dustin's just rebutting to Anthony, saying Cam Ward should go number 1. Ward is the most pro-ready quarterback in the draft, and he is the only rookie QB that would start day 1. Dustin, I think we are all slowly becoming best friends here.
Yes.
Because Tyler and I have been advocating that since the college season.
And I can't wait until Jalen Milrose drafted by the Browns in the 33rd pick.
You're not at all.
It's got to happen.
No, they're going to trade us like 3 second-rounders for the 32nd pick, and we're going to fleece them for them.
Oh, my gosh.
And we're going to walk out with a second round with like TJ Sanders and Josiah Stewart. I'm going to lose my freaking mind. But, all right. So, that was a nice little rules recap here.
Yep.
All right. So now, we do have a couple little NFL news bits that came in through over the past couple days. Dustin, I wish I could. I'm trying to go when it goes to Pittsburgh because, Dustin, in case you didn't know, we are based out of New Jersey. We're trying to go to the one in Pittsburgh in 2026.
Oh, man, I disappointed Georgia tonight.
We used to be friends.
Whoa. Clinton. It's not that deep, man. It's not that deep.
Whoa.
Not even that one. Look at the other one.
Whoa. I maybe I guess the tush push was the defensive players couldn't push back or something. Yeah, it's something like that, Clint. The Titans are going to draft Ward. They are also making a play for Kirk Cousins to be his veteran mentor. Oh, well, he'll learn how to make a lot of money if that happens.
Oh my God.
Kirk's been stealing money from the NFL teams for years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get into the last little bit of topics on our show. Anthony, I'll get out there again one day. Hopefully soon. All right. So we do have a couple little tidbits around the NFL. Raiders, Cardinals. Some contract extensions have been thrown out. Now, we're going to start with the Raiders. Geno Smith. 2-year extension, worth up to $85.5 million, $66.5 million guaranteed. Before we get into the segment, though, Tyler, I got a trivia question for you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Come on.
No, you don't.
Now, if all goes well, Geno Smith will be the Raiders' starting quarterback, it looks like, for the next 3 years.
I don't see why not.
Can you name the last time the Raiders had a starting quarterback, the same starting quarterback for 3 consecutive years?
Derek Carr.
Congratulations. There's your layup. How many years?
How many years did he play with them?
How many years was it? Yeah.
5.
2014 to 2022.
Damn, he's been. Oh my god, man.
So just imagine that.
Hold up.
Damn, Derek Carr's old.
Where have I been? Jesus.
The Raiders. That's why.
Yeah.
Clint would just like to say he was kidding, and he loves Saquon.
And Clint, I want to say that I'm kidding, but I saw a rumor mill report earlier. It was the Browns and somebody else that could be looking at Milrow. I think they hosted Milrow today.
Milrow's been invited to the draft.
Yeah, I know. So, oh my gosh, they're not gonna. They wouldn't dare be crazy enough to draft him 3rd overall. They don't have the balls.
Well, Tyler, not
they wouldn't draft him over.
Now you've lost me.
Now I've lost it. I'm sorry.
Tyler, you have any coffee with you right now?
I revoke the joke.
Do you have any coffee right now? What'd you put in there?
It's all gone.
You drinking some Irish coffee tonight?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so real quick, let me catch up on some comments before we get our thoughts on the Geno Smith contract. Dustin said, don't hate on Cousins. Say what you will about him, but the dude is durable as hell, and he is a very good quarterback. Statistically, the 7th best quarterback since 2018. Oh, Dustin, no disrespect at all. He just makes a lot of money. He just finds a way to make a lot of money. And he went on also to say the Raiders can't afford to draft Sanders. What the Raiders need to do is help Geno in the draft. Ashton Genty. Raiders have good tight ends, decent wide receivers, but no run game. Genty makes too much sense. I agree with that. Oh, Dustin, I can't wait for draft week. If you're in the comments, brother, this is going to be fun.
He does make too much sense.
He does. Because here's the thing. And not only, Dustin, I want to add more to what he's saying. Because the only thing you have to say about, they may draft a quarterback, Pete Carroll did not come out of basically retirement to develop Shedeur Sanders. The Raiders have moved to Vegas, built the damn Star Destroyer, Death Star of a stadium, and they have been irrelevant ever since. They have not had a quarterback. Every good player they have leaves unless you're Max Crosby. This is their time to at least get relevant. And, they're not it's not a bad division they're in. Chiefs, Chargers are looking good. The Broncos got Bo Nix. The Raiders couldn't risk going through this again. I like the extension. Geno's had a very good career resurgence, which started with Pete Carroll in Seattle. And like Dustin said, they've got Brock Bowers. We have to see what happens with Michael Mayer. He's still a chance he could get dealt. I'm going to fall behind on comments. Holy crap. But exactly. And Jacoby Myers, great career year with no quarterback last year. But I agree with what he said. They had no run game. Ashton Genty makes too much sense for the Raiders.
Let the run game walk. So what do? You bring it back in. Get the best running back in the nation.
Yeah. Real quickly, just to catch up, Clint said that the Browns have also been linked to Jackson Dart. That's way better of an option maybe than Jalen Milrow. I don't know yet. I haven't done my quarterback tape yet, so I can't judge that. Dustin said that the Steelers are also looking at Milrow as a late first-round pick. Tomlin will kill him in 2 years. Dustin said Cleveland's going to go Abdul Carter at 2. Hunter goes 3. Sanders will go 4. You heard it here first. Dustin, as long as I can't wait for draft week. Anthony said also, Anthony with his prediction, hot take, 4 quarterbacks go in the first round. Easily could see 4, maybe even 5.
5, jeez.
Georgie said Cleveland's going to go Hunter. Carter still has a bum wheel. We are done with injured players. Georgie, an injured Abdul Carter is the second best player on the Browns, so that's not even. We're not doing that here. I'm also as a prospect refusing as a Penn State fan. I refuse to put Travis Hunter over Abdul Carter. Give me a break.
No, Sam. Abdul Carter has a bum wheel.
Yeah. And he was the best player.
It's Sam. It's really bad. He's going to drop all the way to 32. It's really bad.
Please stop. Dustin said Carroll brought Smith there for a reason. The best season of Geno's career came with Carroll. It's no coincidence. Agreed. And I like this deal. And then it gives them a couple years if there is a quarterback they like, and then they're going to go into like a reset. Say Pete retires again, right?
Yeah.
You'll have maybe someone in place, but at least for the next 3 years, you know what you have.
Do you know who else's career years came with Pete Carroll?
Who's that?
Marshawn Lynch. You know who's a beast like Marshawn Lynch? Ashton Genty.
And the Raiders' offensive line, just like Pete Carroll, Seattle's one, kind of weak.
Yep. And if the Raiders still get near the goal line, they'll pass it instead of run.
Oh, stop it. They have Brock Bowers. Of course they will. Clint said if they go, it's either going to be Carter or Sanders for the Browns unless they trade down. I agree. Dustin said Jackson Dart to Pittsburgh is the best fit. He has a very similar skill set to Big Ben, and last time I checked, Tomlin had some success there. Very agree.
His best success.
Anthony says reports say Hunter might go to Cleveland. I don't think Hunter even solves. I don't know what Hunter would solve for the Browns.
Because who's throwing the football?
Yeah, Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett's throwing the ball on the ground.
Ooh,
I like that.
I like that fit.
Savvy veteran.
Not only that, Lockett and Myers stretch the field and open up the rest of the field for an Ashton Genty, for a Brock Bowers. That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And again, another guy who's been with Pete Carroll.
Yeah. And a guy that's just reliable. Like, he plays, a lot of people hate him because he plays a safe game of football. He protects
George, he's not a better corner than he is a wide receiver. If he wants to make a lot of money, George, he was running routes at their pro day. He's not playing corner in the NFL.
Yeah, no.
He knows
where the money is, exactly. He just saw that receiver market get reset. He wants to be the next.
George said Bryce is upset all his Seahawks for being Raiders.
He could transition to a Raiders fan.
And then Dustin said Lockett replaces that one thing the Raiders never should have done. They never should have let Hunter Renfrow go. Now they have a chance to get another version of Renfrow for cheaper. I heard of Dustin, help me out here. Did I not hear Renfrow was visiting the Raiders like 2 weeks ago?
Is he a free agent?
He was semi-retired last year.
What? What happened?
He didn't play last year. He didn't play.
Man, he just misses the Raiders. He wants to be a career Raider.
I swore someone said he had a workout or a visit with them in the last couple weeks. I swore I saw that.
He brought some good elements to that Raiders team.
He did. I wanted him on the Eagles after that a couple years ago. But no, either way.
Oh,
okay.
He worked out and said, yeah, I'm not going back to this.
Oh, you guys want to be good now? Yeah, I can't do that. Oh, Brock's running all my routes? Yeah, I'm out of here.
You want me to block? Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out of here. But all right, what about let's talk about another contract, because we kind of Tyler, have you ever really given your thoughts on the Geno thing yet? Unless, do you have anything else you want to say about it?
Man, you know how I always feel about Geno. Got lots of respect for him and what he's done since he went over to Seattle. And who was the man who turned it around for him? Pete Carroll.
Yep.
I think it's a good extension. I think he's going to give a good few years to that Raiders organization. And keep them afloat until they figure it out for the future.
I agree. Well, why don't we move over to another team in the West, just the NFC West, Cardinals. They officially agreed to a huge extension with tight end Trey McBride. The agreement is a 4-year, $76 million deal, has $43 million guaranteed, and has $32.5 million fully guaranteed. Would you like to give your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think Trey McBride, he's up there as one of the top tight ends right now. The tight ends conversation, it's so weird because I feel like it changes every single year. Like they were so far away from the days where it's just a set dominant group. Like it's always constantly changing. But I mean, last year he put up some insane numbers. He helped those Cardinals offense to a lot of wins.
He did. And the Cardinals have had a busy week. You know, Calais Campbell coming back. I love seeing Calais go back there.
Yeah.
Give the Cardinals credit. I'm not saying they're going to be all-world beaters next year, but they figured out that their defensive line has been doggy doo-doo for a couple of years now. Yeah. That's the Jonathan Gannon special. But anyway.
They'll be able to compete because they still got James Conner. Whenever he's healthy, he's always impactful for them.
But not only that, look at their defensive line just this offseason. They've struggled against the run. You signed Dalvin Tomlinson. You wanted a defensive tackle that causes havoc. You bring back Calais Campbell, who you drafted years and years ago. You wanted some pass rush help. You brought in Josh Sweat. I still like Sweaty. A lot of money, but if you look at McBride, every
a lot
year,
of money.
It is a lot of money for Josh
and
Sweat.
Calais Campbell is going to have more sacks than him.
Most likely. And he's like 39 years old.
Yeah.
But if you look at McBride, not only was he the leading receiver last year, he has gotten better every year he's been in the league.
Yep.
And he is going to be a focal point of their passing attack. I don't see them as, because they're not strong at wide receiver. It's Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's it. I think their wide receiver 2 right now is like Zay Jones. What's that getting you?
Not far.
I'm okay with an offense run like that. You have Marvin Harrison as your 1, and your number 2 option is McBride. I'm okay with that.
That's literally almost like what Kansas City was doing when they had Tyreek and Travis.
Exactly.
1-2 punch right there.
Yeah. And you just said it a second ago. James Conner's been pretty damn productive for the Cards over the past couple of years when he's been healthy. Now, that's a big if when he's healthy, but still.
That's a big if.
It is, but McBride has earned that money. I mean, he had 1,000 yards last year.
Oh, yeah.
He was sensational for the Cards, and he's earned it. Now, and I think right now he's the highest paid tight end in football.
I think he
and that's going to, well, that screams some other tight ends will be gone soon, and unfortunately, one of them is here. Yep, that's going to be their hope.
Draft day trade.
There is still some hope they can figure something out.
Draft day trade.
Maybe.
It's going to happen.
We'll have to wait and see.
We're going to use him to move up to get Tyler Warren.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I saw some people on Twitter saying that Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, is light years ahead of Tyler Warren. What are you watching? What are you watching?
He can be good. That's fine.
Colston's a beast, but Tyler Warren, come on now.
Come on. Talking about different categories here.
We're in completely different stratosphere in terms of that. I don't even want to have that conversation right now. But real quickly, Dustin said Trey McBride is worth every penny. Cardinals would be a 5-win team without him. I 100% agree. Such an underrated and underappreciated player amongst media. He is the number 3 tight end in the NFL. Whoa. Dustin is going.
Last season, yeah.
I agree.
And how he improves each year, yeah. I don't see a
Can you
problem
imagine? Can you imagine drafting McBride last year in fantasy and then drafting Brock Bowers 4 rounds later?
Oh, was that you? Congratulations. Yep. I don't even remember.
I never had it. Oh, you want to have?
I don't want to remember.
My flex options were so. Hold on. My flex options were so bad they were playing together each week.
I remembered.
I couldn't. My flex options stunk.
I had drafted Travis Kelce way too early. I drafted him basically as my number one wide receiver, essentially. He was my first pass catcher off the board. Mistakes were made. Still made it to the championship game and lost. Disappointment aside, and then I drafted Dallas Goedert later in the rounds. And he was my starter most of the year when he wasn't hurt. So it was great.
I am with agreement with Clint here. The only reason that McBride would be on my bench sometimes is because he didn't get into the end zone much. Brock Bowers, on the other hand, was. But then toward the end of the season, Bowers and McBride both got hot, and it just steamrolled from there.
You know, man, Dustin's comment. You know, I can't wait till we do a fantasy football show. I had a chance. I think it was the number 1 or 2 pick in my league this past year. You know who I chose. I made the mistake of picking Christian McCaffrey on his off year, the year that he was destined to get injured. I had a chance
what were you thinking?
To get Saquon because the guy who took the first person off the board was Tyreek Hill. So I had Saquon on the board. And I did draft Gibbs. Could you imagine if I would have had Saquon and Gibbs? I wouldn't have lost enough championship game.
You would have won. You wouldn't have.
I lost my first week by it was like a fraction of a point because I couldn't put anybody in for McCaffrey because he was like a game time scratch.
You remember the show when I told you he was being placed on IR?
Oh, dude!
Never seen you cry. I've never seen you so defeated in my life.
Tough times.
But I wanted to get to the second part of Clint's comment saying that McBride's quarterback needs to stop playing Call of Duty during the season.
You don't need to leave Kyler alone, all right?
He is the biggest wild card for the Cardinals.
He is, but he had a good bounce back year last year.
He was a year removed off of the injury. Now he'll have a full off season and get back to a normal schedule. Talk to me next year.
Exactly.
Well, I want to get to Dustin's comment. Having Saquon and Gibbs, that's just murder.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Jefferson, McBride, Jaden Reed, Nico Collins.
Dustin, did you have like the first 6 picks of your draft or something? This is ridiculous. Whoever was drafted
went like 4th in mine.
I took him 6th.
Damn.
Well, I wanted Amon-Ra, but I can't tell you how many guys I lost a pick before me. I couldn't tell you. Lost a lot. But hey, I won the chip, so I don't care. And you know what I made? You know what I won? How I won the chip? Because I started Bo Nix against the Chiefs when they rested everybody. That's how I did it. I picked up Bo Nix off waivers, best pickup of my fantasy life. Also, but before we start wrapping it up here, I do want to throw out these. We had a little piece of news yesterday and today. Left tackle Teron Armstead announced his retirement after 12 years in the NFL. The 5-time Pro Bowler ended up lowering his contract cap hit to the league minimum to start the offseason because he was contemplating retirement, and he ended up retiring yesterday.
Wow.
And also, the Jacksonville Jaguars have exercised their 5th-year option on former number 1 overall pick Trayvon Walker, who is coming off of back-to-back 10-sack seasons. So, looks like they're going to maybe they're looking to try to work out an extension with Trayvon, but those are the last 2 little bits of NFL stuff.
Good career for Teron Armstead.
Well, easily one of the best tackles of the time he played. One of the best in football. Doesn't get enough respect either.
Nope, he doesn't.
All I'm saying is Tua, run.
Good luck.
There'll be some offensive linemen drafting in Miami this year.
Hopefully, unless they turn into the Bengals.
Oh, good Lord. Just said I picked 5th in a 12-team league. Barkley round 1, Jefferson round 2, Gibbs round 3, Mahomes round 4. Those guys all would have went in the first round of my draft.
That's a steal. I had some idiot draft Mahomes way too early.
Some idiot of mine drafted him in the first round.
The first round is wild.
Clint said Jaden Daniels came in clutch for me. I bet he did.
Mm-hmm.
Jay and Dano came out clutch for a lot of people. Dustin then said, my league thought Jefferson was going to have a down year with Darnold at quarterback. Haha, jokes on them. Thank you very much for the chip. All right, Tyler. You got anything else you want to add on before we get out of here for the night?
That's about all I got.
Guys, we understand that this time of the year for football season, it's a little slow. There ain't much going on. Just on Facebook tonight, you guys punched out 138 comments. Georgie, Carol, Stephanie, David, Clint, and of course Anthony over on the YouTube side, and of course our newest fan, the 609, Dustin. Dustin, welcome to the 609 family. Thank you so much for being a new commenter. Thank you for throwing all those comments in. They were so awesome. You were spitting it out. You were spitting out all that fire like it was nothing, man. So we want to thank you so much for throwing all those comments out there. And Dustin, like we said, Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're live every Monday. So look forward to having you in the chat more often because tonight was awesome. And then he said, I think I may have to come back every Monday when I can. I do coach high school baseball, so if I don't have a game, I will use my time. I will use this as my new Monday spot. Dustin, we appreciate that, man.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Oh, yeah. And we appreciate all you guys and all your comments tonight. We had a blast on tonight's show. So, of course, Carol saying have a great week. Carol, you too. And Carol, as always, go Birds, Carol. We know we love our Eagle fans. But to everyone again, I hope I didn't miss any names in the comments. But to everyone, Dustin, Carol, Georgie, Clint, thank you guys all so much for all those amazing comments. We really do appreciate it. So, and Dustin, you say you coach high school baseball? Good luck. So, guys, we're going to get up on out of here. Georgie says until tomorrow. Yep, that is true. Georgie and the Dueling Aces will be live tomorrow night around 9:15. I will be on there with them as well because I've officially joined them full time as well as aside from doing 609. So look forward to that for tomorrow.
Give them hell.
Clint said NBA playoffs are coming. We'll be waiting. I'll be sleeping. But guys, once again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We had a blast talking with all you, and we will see you guys same time, same place next week. So for Tyler Adams, I'm Sam Nelson. Good night, everybody.